Today we are going to talk about different types of accommodation. Usually, when we think of accommodation, hotels first come to mind. However, there are various types of accommodation. People choose a particular type of accommodation according to what type of holiday they want. Particular types of accommodation can be suitable for certain age groups or for people with specific interests. So let's have a look at them. Food is an important element of a guest's stay, so types of accommodation can be classified according to whether guests are provided food by the establishment or they prepare food on their own. So catered accommodation provides the tourists with food. The food may or may not be included in the price of the hotel. As opposed to that, self-catered accommodation offers cooking facilities, such as a small kitchen and cooking equipment. In that way, guests can prepare their own food, their own meals. It is especially important for families with small kids who may prefer a specific type of food. Also, it is very good for people with specific dietary needs. So, let's have a look at specific types of accommodation. Obviously, a hotel is the most well-known type of accommodation. A hotel is a building where guests stay in rooms, while there is also a reception, a restaurant, and other facilities. Facilities are places within a hotel that are designed for specific activities. For example, a swimming pool is a facility, but also a conference room is another type of facility in a hotel. There are many different types of hotels, and one whole lesson will be dedicated to them. However, today we will just mention hotels and focus on some other types of accommodation. So, where else do tourists stay? Young tourists and students often choose hostels as a good option for their stay. A hostel is a small, relatively cheap hotel, usually planned for young backpackers, hikers, or cyclists. Hikers are people who go for a long walk in the countryside. A hostel is budget-friendly. It means that it offers good value for money. Hostels can be located in the city center or somewhere in the countryside. What sets hostels apart from hotels is the fact that a hostel usually has dormitories with bunk beds and shared bathrooms. Dormitories are larger rooms with several beds. Bunk beds are beds fixed one on top of the other. And obviously, a shared bathroom is a bathroom shared by people who stay in a few rooms. Hostels can be noisy because there are lots of people in hostels, but also there is friendly atmosphere and a chance to meet people from all over the world. A stay in a hostel is suitable for adventurous type of people, young people, and group of friends. Guests in a hostel are sometimes offered one meal. Usually, it is not a full meal. It is something like sandwiches or pizza. Sometimes guests can use a shared kitchen. It is very suitable for young people who can make coffee or tea there for them or some quick meal. In a shared kitchen in a hostel, you can expect to find a fridge, which can be very useful, and also some cooking utensils, pots, plates, forks, knives, spoons, and other things that you may need, like sugar and salt. People who work in a hostel are usually very friendly, and the atmosphere is informal. A motel is a roadside hotel designed primarily for motorists with parking directly outside. People stay in a motel usually for not more than 1 or 2 nights on their way to their final destination. In a typical motel in foreign countries, you can access your room directly from the parking and not from the reception area. An apartment is a flat rented to tourists. An apartment is not a type of room in a hotel. It is a separate flat that owners rent to tourists. Apartments can be located in buildings where all these apartments look the same. A penthouse is a luxurious flat on the top floor of a tall building. Penthouses offer magnificent views of the ocean or the cityscape. Penthouses can be rented as separate apartments owned by individuals, or penthouses can be a part of a hotel. A completely different type of accommodation is caravan, British English, or trailer, American English. A caravan is a wheeled vehicle for living or traveling in, especially for holidays, that contains beds and cooking equipment and can be pulled by a car. Caravans can be very suitable for families or with young people who like to change the place where they stay. Caravans are usually parked on campsites. The campsites in foreign countries usually provide some additional facilities. For example, a reception area, showers, and a restaurant. Apart from caravans, campers sometimes choose motorhomes or camper vans or RVs. A motorhome is a large vehicle that is designed to be lived in while traveling. While in British English, a motorhome is also called camper van, in the USA it is called RV because it is an abbreviation for a recreational vehicle. People who like to visit national parks and the countryside often decide to rent a motorhome and to design their own itinerary. Campers also stay in tents. A tent is a shelter made of canvas that you can fold up and carry with you. A tent is less robust than a motorhome, and somehow it is less safe in case of a storm or a strong wind. However, it is also less expensive, it is light and easy to carry with you, and you can own just a car if you want to camp in a tent. A specific kind of tents are teepee tents. Teepee tents are circular tents that were typical of the Indians. Today, tents of the same shape are rented to tourists in different countries like France or the USA. They are very decorative and interesting, so kids like to stay there. A more solid type of accommodation is a bungalow. A bungalow is a simple house with one level rented to tourists. Bungalows are usually located in a row and all of them may be identical. Bungalows are not very expensive to rent. The next type of accommodation is a cottage. A cottage is a small, romantic house in the countryside that tourists can rent. Cottage houses are often located in beautiful scenery. Sometimes they are made of stone or bricks. They're a little bit old-fashioned and they are perfect for romantic getaways. In mountains or woods, tourists can rent a log cabin. A cabin is a small house, and if we call it a log cabin, it means that it is made of wood and specifically it is made of logs. Logs are tree trunks that were used for the construction of the house. The next type of accommodation suitable for nature lovers is a hunting lodge. A hunting lodge is a house or hut in the country or in the mountains where people stay on holiday when they want to go hunting or just when they want to be close to the woods and to the countryside. A lodge means a house in the countryside, and a hunting lodge would be a place where hunters can stay. In Swiss Alps, tourists can rent a specific type of accommodation which is called chalet. A chalet is a small wooden house found in mountain areas, especially in Switzerland, and it is used by people on holiday. It is very romantic and it is all made of natural materials, mostly wood and stone. Bed and breakfast, also called B&B, is a type of accommodation offering bed and breakfast, usually in a private house. B&Bs normally accommodate no more than six guests. Bed and breakfast type of accommodation is very cozy, romantic, and usually you have direct contact with the owners who provide advice and tips on what to see, where to go, and so on. So if you want to get to know this particular village or a small town, a bed and breakfast is an option that provides you with the opportunity to meet the locals and to talk to them about your holiday and about possible activities. A guest house is a private house turned into accommodation point. In a guest house, owners can live in a part of a house while they rent the other part to guests. A guest house may or may not offer other meals. A typical type of accommodation that you can find in British countryside is an inn. An inn is a bed and breakfast accommodation within a traditional inn or pub. The bar and restaurant is open to the public and provides food at lunchtime and in the evening. Also, there are several rooms that are rented to guests who want to stay there, and usually guests stay for a couple of days. An inn is a perfect location for you to explore a traditional British life and countryside. A historic house can be a perfect place for tourists. A manor house is a large house on an estate, often turned into accommodation point. Some manor houses have been turned into hotels, while other manor houses are rented to tourists, and sometimes they are rented for special occasions such as weddings. A similar type of accommodation is a villa. A villa is a luxurious house in the countryside or at the seaside that tourists can rent. Some villas are very old, while others are more modern. Similar to a villa, there is another type of accommodation called a mansion. A mansion is a very large, luxurious house in the countryside. It is bigger than a manor house. Some mansions have been turned into hotels, while others, like manor houses, are rented for special occasions. Finally, a stately home is a palace in the countryside owned by rich families. Again, lots of stately homes have been turned into hotels nowadays. Now we can see if we can remember the names of different types of accommodation. So, what is this? It is located in Swiss Alps. It is made of natural materials such as wood and stone. Yes, it is a chalet. What is this? It is very suitable for visiting national parks and the countryside. You can rent it because it is very expensive to buy. It is called a motorhome in Britain and RV or recreational vehicle in the USA. What are these? These are parked on a campsite. These are pulled by a car. Inside these, you can find a small kitchen and beds. These are caravans. What is this? It is situated in the city center. It has bunk beds and it is affordable. Yes, it is a hostel. What is this? It is not suitable for areas with storms or areas that are too cold. It is a tent. This is a large house on an estate. This is a manor house. This is a good example of a villa. This type of houses can be found in mountains or forests. It is made of wood. It is called a log cabin. These are small houses with just one level. These are called bungalows. Kids like to stay in this type of tents. These tents are called teepees. This is a kind of a traditional restaurant with some rooms that guests can rent. There you can have breakfast, but also you can order lunch or dinner. Visitors who do not stay here can come for lunch or dinner too. It is a traditional place to stay. It is called an inn. This is a small property where you can sleep and have breakfast provided and prepared by hosts. It is called B&B or bed and breakfast. This is a luxurious apartment on top of a building. It is called a penthouse. Which type of accommodation do you like the best? Why?